Hey, what's up, guys? So this deck was requested by a good friend of mine. I honestly didn't have a good Nirvana list, so that's why it took me a while to showcase this to you guys, because I was just trying to find the best way you could play this deck through this. You could play this deck through this very like control heavy format. Obviously, your worst matchups are Prison. Prison's your worst matchup. Your second worst matchup is Gravidia, and then like Barrel Magnus. Every other deck that has even a speckle of control, like if it has like spot removal, it's like you're still able to play the game, but the fact that they can just take care of all of your overdress units every turn, you have to rebuild them every turn, hurts. So I just tried to build the deck with that in mind, to whereas you still have follow up for next turn. And that's the idea, which is crazy that this deck can draw like 5 to 8 cards in one turn and still lose to retire both your guys. Yeah. So let's get into the profile. The starter is Trickstar. You really just want to get your 2 overdressed units online. It's just your most powerfulest play. So that's why you are sacrificing the tricks. You are sacrificing the draw if you're going second. And it's okay if your opponent takes advantage of that, because for most of these combos, to draw these like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in one turn, you need like 2 to 3 counterblast. So it's really like the extra draw in the early isn't really helpful unless it's an overdress or this guy. So I would rather just guarantee this guy in the drop zone, which I really don't like that I have to play the deck that way, but what can you do, man? It also just helps by like cutting one extra slot for space, so that's another thing. And boy, does this deck not have space for anything. Oh my god. Oh, I had to find space for these three. The three Persona Rides. You obviously want to max out on Persona Ride. This is literally a beatdown strategy where you're really just drawing cards so that you have enough guard to survive. No, 2 reasons. You gotta draw guard to survive, and you gotta draw follow up. That's why you're okay. That's why you're running 4 prayers along with your Persona Rides, because you really do need the 10k. You really want to make those ridiculous, big, astronomical 40k, 50k, 60k. You could even get to like 70, 73k lines with just keep overdressing over 1 unit. You're maxing out on 4 because you really do need to see this card on turn 4. It is your... it's again, it powers up your Vanguard, which means you don't even have to necessarily use its counterblast ability, because most of the time you're just using counterblast to overdress and draw cards, or give your overdress unit a crit, a 15k and a crit. But you really do need to max out on these. You are running a lot of cards without shield, which I don't like that either. You have to run like so many cards without shield, but like it's kind of the way you have to run the deck through this retire heavy or like removal heavy format that we're in. And it really doesn't get too much better in the next set, but at least in the next set you have Graveyard Recursion. So yeah, onto the overdress units. Let me see here if I can move this up just a little bit more so I can have space to fit everything. Okay, I think that's Gucci enough. I'm playing 4 copies of Expecta. Now, let me reveal all my overdress units and then I'll get into that. 4 copies of Expecta, 4 copies of Urger, 4 copies of Arcs, and then 1 copy of regular VAIRINA. Now, this is one of the slots that I just really I was originally playing 2 VAIRINA, and I guess you could cut this, or you could cut the Expectas for the extra VAIRINA, but it really doesn't do much. You really don't ever want to see more than 1, and if you do draw it or you do damage it and you don't get to search it, it really isn't the end of the world, because now you have an extra Soul Blast for your Urger or for your own VAIRINA. So it really isn't the end of the world. That's why we're only playing one copy of it. Arcs is your main combo. Piece. Normally people would arcs on their grade 2 turn, and you really don't want to do that unless you're against a deck that, like, their early game is kind of weak, and you just kind of have to push early, sacrificing the draw cards, because you know that if you just play early game rush, you're more likely to win. But most of the time you're actually holding your arcs for your turn 3, because arcs plus prayer is, let me see, how many that was, 2, 3, it's a draw 3, arcs plus prayer. And then overdressing over arcs with Expecta is a draw 4. So that's basically the idea, is that you want to overdress arcs, draw 3 cards, and overdress Expecta, draw another card. And that's the main counterblast combo. And you could still, it is very counterblast heavy, but you could still damage step or battle step overdress Master Duels, that's all I gotta say, Urger, to get the counterblast, and you still get the draw, because it's not restricted to only your main phase. You'll still get the 5k and draw on your Vanguard, which is really nice. You can make him 23, 28, 33, 38, 48 on Overdress, not Overdress, on Persona Red turns. So it's just a very, this combo piece, you need to max it out at 4. Urger, you need to max it out at 4 too, because how counterblast heavy this deck is. You need this card at 4. And the reason that I'm running 4 Expectas, usually people run like 3 copies max, or 2 copies that I've seen, at least in other lists of Overdress VAIRINA. I was running originally Valiente, but because of the way that I built this deck, most of the time I was just overdressing Valiente, and he just kind of felt like a weaker Expecta, because I didn't have the counterblast to pressure the restand. So he felt like a weaker Expecta, so I just like, oh, let me just play Expectas. While Expecta can't overdress by himself on top of one of your trick stars, it is just very powerful that it gets plus 15 overdressing on top of arcs, overdressing on top of Urger or regular VAIRINA. That free plus 15 make it 28, and with NIRVANA make it 38, Persona Ride 48. And you know, that's kind of like the main combo of this deck in the early game, is if you have enough counterblast to just overdress into arcs, draw 3 cards, overdress into Expecta, draw another card, then overdress over Expecta again, just to make a very big beefy Vanguard and a beefy rear guard that you can possibly give a crit. And there's many times that I would play this way, or at least I would just overdress Expecta once and use its full ability. If I'm going second, if I know I'm against a deck that can easily remove the Expecta, then I'll just blow the Expecta's load early and just have a fat Expecta, because it's going to be plus 30 or plus 40k. At least that's the way that I see it. You just have like a really good turn 3 push turn with your numbers, with the cards that you're drawing. And this is the main core of the deck. This is the main idea of the deck, is you're using prayer to draw into follow-up for next turn, so you can theoretically do it all again. Draw up to follow-up and draw into shield cards, because that's what's important in this deck. This is one of those combo decks, like, you're just discarding a lot of shield in the early. The good news is, because you're taking like so many early hits, is like you're saving like cards in hand, but you're still like just discarding like raw shield in the early game. And then for the rest of your main deck, 4 PGs, 3 Togashi Rashi. I couldn't fit 4 as much as I want 4. Again, if you feel like 4 is too much, if you feel like 4 Expect is too much, you can by all means cut it. But this 3 slot can technically be whatever you want The reason that I'm running Togashi Rashi is to feed Urger, because again, this deck is so counterblast heavy, but you kind of have to play, not like you don't have to, you could obviously do whatever you want, it's your deck, I'm not going to tell you to do it with your deck, but for me personally, I feel like I have to play it this way because there's so many decks that just do stuff to your board in this format that you just need to mass draw into your combo pieces for next turn. And then the other 3 trick stars. Really nothing much to say here. You want to also max out on trick star. Obviously, this is an overdressed deck. Let me see here. And then on to the triggers. 4 heals, not much to explain there. 8 crit. I gotta say, because the way this deck works, that you're just cycling souls so heavily, you actually do kind of need the soul crit. There was many times that I Persona Rode, because usually you want to do your Urger turn on Persona Ride so that your Trick Star can hit the Vanguard by itself. 15. There were so many times that I needed the extra soul, so I would put it behind, attack for 19, and then Overdress on top of it, and then have the 40k column and the extra free counterblast. So you kind of do need this in this version of the deck, but like I say in all my profiles, if you don't have it, it's more of one of those cards where it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. But if you don't have it, I understand that they are going up in price, that they are kind of expensive right now, just because they go into Soul, not because of the 2K. The 2K is almost never relevant. You could just run regular crits. And then I run 3 front and 1 over trigger. The Dragon Empire over trigger is just super busted, even in this version of the deck, because you can just give your Expecta the 100 million, and then he'll give himself the crit, or you can give the 100 million to your Vanguard. Either way, the restanding Vanguard is just pressure, because you are making really big fat columns, and then you say, ooh, I get to attack again with a really big fat column. The 3 front triggers over draw triggers I was originally running draw triggers before the prayer, but because on prayer turns I'm drawing like 4 to 5 cards, 6 cards, 8 cards, I just really didn't want to draw into draw triggers. I wanted to, I wanted to, like I said, either draw shield, which is inevitable, you're going to draw your triggers. You're either drawing triggers or you're drawing your pieces. You want to draw triggers or pieces. Triggers to survive your opponent's turn, to do your turn again, and pieces so you're able to do your turn again. Like, the thing with this deck is, because of the way it works, it runs out of it runs out of counterblast very fast. It does not want the game to drag out very long, especially against a control deck that wipes your board every turn, because you will run out of steam. You'll either have pieces and no shield, or what happens to me most of the time is I have enough to guard and I still have cards in my hand. I'll still have like zeros and a PG, but I don't have follow-up for next turn, and I end up maybe calling one of my Overdress units regularly and swinging with the Vanguard. If I have counterblast, lucky me, I have a 20k or 23k rear guard and a 23k Vanguard. Like I said, because of the format, you just can't be, my daunting Overdress units on rear guard. Big power every turn, Overdress over them every turn with Expecta, because they're gonna get rid of them, because they're so important, because they get so fat. Actually, if you Overdress Expecta over Expecta, that's plus 15 plus 13. 15 plus 13, that's 28, plus 13 again, so 26, I think that's 31 or 41 by itself, and then activating its ability makes it like 56, and if you Persona Ride like 66, something like that. I know you can get this guy to like the 70s or like 80s without triggers, if you overdress enough times. But, dropping cards since 2021. That's really the deck. It's not a bad deck. It's a really solid deck. Like, how can you call this deck bad when it can draw so many cards in one turn? Its weakness is removal. It doesn't have answers to removal besides I draw cards, let's see if I draw into my pieces. And you notice that I'm not running the one searcher card that we do have for overdress units for one simple fact. It costs counterblast. it costs counterblasts on top of what you're already doing. Prayers is just a better card in the set. At least I value it as a better card because it lets me see more massive amounts of cards and add them to my hand versus I only get to add one card. And like, while adding one card is nice, most of the time I need more than one card to pop off because of Overdress, because you need to either discard for the Trick Star or call the Trick Star, then Overdress on top of the Trick Star, and then if you want to expect the Overdress again, and that's just one column. That's the major problem with this deck, is just you need to commit so much to one rear guard, and Prayers is just basically your, not payoff, more of like, you're not losing, it doesn't feel like you're losing so much, because you're breaking even. You're breaking even. You're not like really like plussing. Like, it turns your cards into pluses, but it is a break even. I guess I could just show you the combo. I guess I could just show you the combos that I have been talking about. Just put these out the way. Let me do this in a way that makes sense from you guys' perspective. So, for the combo that I've been talking about all this video is, you need, because you're gonna superior call a Trick Star from your deck on turn 2 with the grade 1. Most of the time what I do is, because I want to do this power play on turn 3, I'll just swing with my grade 2 Vanguard, and that's it. And I'll leave this in the back row because that means basically you cannot touch it. But you ride. You search your, let's say you're lucky and you still have it in deck. You search your VAIRINA. And you already have the 2. You already Soul Blasted. Let's say you already Soul Blasted. This is the 3-card combo that requires, let me see here, if you went second, then this combo, and if you want to do the full extent of the combo, it requires 3 Counterblast. If you went first, then you really only need 2 Counterblast. So you're gonna Overdress into VAIRINA Arcs. That lets you draw 2 cards. Wait, no, first. I already messed up the combo, guys. Unsubscribe. JK. I need the subs. First, you're going to activate Prayers with a Counterblast 1. This gives 5k to your Vanguard and lets you draw a card every time you Overdress this whole turn. So, then you're going to Overdress with Arcs. That's Counterblast 2. And that lets you draw 3 cards off of the Arcs. Then you're going to Overdress again into Expecta. That lets you draw another card. So you've drawn 4 cards so far, giving your Vanguard a plus 10. Now that's just off of one column. If you went second, you can swing. If you went second, you can swing 23 with your Vanguard, and you know, like I said, this combo needs 3 Counterblasts. You can swing 23 with your Vanguard, and then you can swing this guy, use its effect, give it plus 30k. So this is 43 with a crit, which is not bad. Obviously, it depends how you want to play that out on the triggers. Now, this is just creating one column. You can make a second column. Let me see. You can make a second column by like 1 or 2 ways. You can either just regular Overdress, like a good target for this that you searched out is regular Overdress with regular VAIRINA, because you really want to save your Urgers for your Persona Red turn. So that's an extra card on top. So you've drawn so far 5 cards. You've drawn 5 cards for a play that you would normally do anyways. And again, this is another way that this combo could cost 3 counterblast instead of 2, regardless if you go first or second, is by using your Vanguard's ability to give 10k to the front row. That's going to make this guy a 30k hitter, and that's going to make this guy, 28, 38. And these are without triggers on your first grade 3 turn. And your Vanguard, he's like super fat. He is, 28. You've overdressed 3 times, 28, 38. But again, because you already made your Vanguard 28, you don't necessarily need to use the counterblast. You could, if this column is really that weak, you could just swing 20, 28, and then 28. So you could just swing like that. So that is your first turn combo. Let me show you guys your second turn combo. So you want a prayer again. You want Nirvana. Let me see here. You want Nirvana and Urger. Everything else can technically be whatever. But these are the 3 cards that you need. 3 cards that you need. Technically 4 cards, because you do need a way of getting 2 trick stars. But like I said, you drew 5 cards, and then you drove check twice. That's 7 cards, and then you draw for turn. So you go 8 cards deep to see a second trick star in your hand. So you're gonna start your turn. You're gonna pitch 1, res the trick star. Oh no, wait. You're gonna start your turn. Obviously, you're gonna Persona Ride. That's drawing 1 card. And then you're going to pitch a card, res your trick star, and then you're going to, like I said, any Overdress unit can do. It can be the VAIRINA, it can be the arcs, but again, that's going to cost 2 counterblast. So you're going to do prayer. Ideally, you want to do essentially the same thing again. You're going to prayer, and then you're going to arcs, and then that's going to draw you 3 cards. So you've drawn 4 cards right now. Then you're going to play Trick Star. You're going to play Trick Star. And let's see here. If you have Expecta, you're going to Overdress Expecta to draw another card. If you don't have Expecta, like this is fine enough. With your Persona Ride and then with your Vanguard's ability, this is going to be swinging 35. This is going to be swinging 40. But all you really need left is the Urger. So you're going to swing for 15. They block it, obviously, or intercept. It's an easy block. But then you're going to Soul Blast 2 for the Urger, flip up a Counterblast. You get to draw another card, give your Vanguard another +5. So right now it has +10. And then you're going to swing with your Vanguard, Counterblast. What is this? 20, 43. This is 35, and this is 40. Right? 20, 30, 40. Yeah, this is 40. Now, obviously, this could be way stronger if you overdressed with Expecta, but usually on turn 4, you're going to be drawing 5, 6 cards, and then drive check 2 cards. So, like I said, essentially the idea of the deck is to draw into more of your pieces to try and do the same thing next turn. Which, to do these combos, you need 2 to 3 Counterblast. If you're using Expecta's ability on top of you just drawing cards and giving your Vanguard power, or using your Vanguard's ability, then more like 4 Counterblast. 4 Counterblast. Oh yeah, I guess you can do 4 Counterblasts in one turn. But that's like really highly unlikely unless like you got like blowed back to 5 and you just kind of need to do Expecta's ability. More often than not, you're just kind of using Expecta as a naturally big beat stick. That's why I'm running Expecta at 4 over the Valiente. Anyways, guys, that's my deck profile. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Tell me what you think about it. If you liked the last segment of the video where I just explained the basic plays of the deck, let me know. If you felt like, nah, man, like, you know, it's pretty obvious what the deck is built to do, what it's supposed to do, then also let me know down below. Bye.